Welcome to Anatomy of Marriage, Marriage Mornings. I'm your host, Melanie Studley.
Good morning, my name is Seth Studley and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and today is day 99, Be the Band-Aid, and this is the Marriage Morning Infinity Challenge.
If you're new here, welcome. We have over 100 episodes on all sorts of different topics ranging from communication, sex and intimacy, all those things. And there's a bunch of different formats of our podcast. They're not all like this because this is our marriage morning and it's sort of a special different thing. And we do 4 things every marriage morning. But before we talk about those, today's marriage morning is brought to you by Audible. You can get a free audiobook on us and we want you to get a free audiobook. Go to audibletrial.com/anatomy of marriage to get a free audio book.
That's right. You'll be glad you did. We live on Audible and you will be glad you did. So like Melanie said, we do 4 things. We pray together. We share a past gratitude, something that I'm thankful for that she did yesterday, vice versa. We do a future hope and then a goal for the day.
And we encourage you guys to do these with your partner. So this is just a quick way to do a quick connection in the morning, or some people do marriage evenings too. So do these with your partner. So let's start with prayer. Can I pray today?
Go for it.
Dear God, thank you so much for all of our blessings. I pray that you give us strength and courage throughout this day to make it awesome and flippin' fantastic, and to give us encouragement and love and hope and peace to spread out into the world like a rainbow. Amen.
Amen.
I think of Care Bear stare. Like...
Oh, because it comes from...
like their tummy?
Yeah.
So that's prayer. So do your prayers. Past gratitude. I guess I just keep saying I'm thankful for how hard you're working, because we had to get the internet set up and all that stuff, and there's just like 10,000 things going on, and we have you're just like perpetually like, okay, that one, and I'm thankful for that.
I am thankful too. We both have just a long checklist of a million things, and each day you click off a bunch, and one that I'm appreciative of is how you're organizing the house, because you're here and just getting rid of crap, making it comfy. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Future hope. Well, my hopes and my goals, my goal is to just get work done, and my hope is that today is joyful and fun, and that we get to enjoy the sunshine after school with the kids.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Today, at work to get done, we're doing a sweat lodge, and I hope that is good and healing for people yes, that's my future hope. And a goal is to come back and be present with you and the kids.
Awesome. So again, do these things with your partner. Talk about your goals and hopes and what you're thankful for, and pray. Or whatever suits your family. So today's topic, like we said, was Be the Band-Aid, which came from a conversation that we had last night, which came from sort of all these different things going on in our current situation. But how would you say so last night we were talking about, I was telling Seth that I wish I had realized the impact that like ADD would have in our family, essentially. Not just Seth's ADD, because that's not what I mean. We have it, I think, in lots of our kids and siblings, and what am I trying to say? Extended family has it, I think, or my family. And so I was trying to tell Seth about it last night, but it was making him upset. And what I was saying was making him feel shamed, like I was blaming him for whatever ADD stuff that has caused different things in our marriage. And at some point, after talking for, I don't know, like 45 minutes, I just said, look, I'm not telling you you're bad, I'm not saying whatever, because he would react. Like I would say something, and I was upset, and I was like irritated, but I wasn't being mean, I wasn't being ugly. But you would react really strongly, and it was basically like this. It was like Seth was trying to get my eyes to see what his eyes can see.
Right.
And I was like, look, they never will. And your eyes won't ever see what my eyes see. So we need to stop trying to convince the other one that they're wrong, or convince the other one to do things my way, or whatever. And we just need to, I just needed Seth to be the Band-Aid to my sort of wound
because
in that
you were
moment.
Hurt, right?
Yeah, and I really was kind of grieving, realizing oh, this ADD really has impacted us financially and emotionally and relationally, and I was just kind of grieving that, which is
give a little context. I think so. You're reading a book called
Healing from ADD or
Healing from ADD by
Dr. Danielle Amen.
And she's learning a lot about ADD, and of course, as a therapist, I know a lot about ADD, but this book really goes into it more. It's like a deep dive study to it, and I'm just learning from her, and it's almost like everybody has some form of ADD or ADHD, and I didn't realize how much it does
well in our family,
our
I think,
life,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And me, myself, it's just something I've been trying to cope and manage, you know. And then the arguments that we have is like, oh, well, this is how I think, and this is kind of the water I swim in. And you were just realizing that and going, man, that explains a lot, and that kind of makes me sad.
Yeah. Well, and I will say too that it came about after yesterday's marriage morning, where I felt like you weren't able to focus, and I've noticed it more and more that it feels like I'm being ignored when we do marriage morning sometimes, because you want to talk to people and you want to whatever, and you'll get off topic, and then I will have to say, hey, we're talking about this, remember? And then people will tell me that I'm being a B word to you.
Right.
And it's like, well, you need to manage your own brain when we're doing marriage mornings, and it's so frustrating to me because it feels really, what's the word? Like, it feels inconsiderate. Like, when I talk, you start doing other things. You immediately ignore what I'm saying. And so that's kind of how it came up. And then I was able to look through our marriage and be like, oh, like this behavior is present here, and it was present there, and it was present here. And so as I was learning about it, there was like a grief, like a sorrow that came, and I was like, oh, this makes me really sad to realize that if I had just known that that's what this was, I would have approached it way differently, but I can't now because it's already passed, right? And so I was talking about that with you last night, but after kind of, you know, going back and forth of, you can't tell me that I should see it your way, and I can't tell you that you should see it my way, I just said, look, that is not what we're trying to do anymore. And I was trying to say, like, if my cut on my arm, like I got a big fat cut, let's say, and that is the sadness of what ADD has done in our marriage. And that's fair to say. That's not unfair. I wasn't being ugly. I wasn't attacking. But what Seth was trying to do, and not intentionally, was to criticize if it really hurt. Does it really hurt? Like, well, did you cut yourself? Like, it was very much like, I'm not going to attune that you say you're hurting.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
It was more like I was trying to put it in context and make everything make sense. I was not looking at the fact like, oh, holy crap, she has a giant cut on her arm. What can I do to help her, right? And that's not something that I am good at, I guess. And last night I realized it differently. Like, oh, I know what she is saying. I think I understand what she wants now. It's like, oh, there's a giant cut or a wound. Come help me.
But what you were doing in the past was you would argue if it was valid.
Right.
You would argue, well, does this wound hurt? Is it really infected? Does it really whatever? It probably won't be that bad.
Right.
Instead of being a Band-Aid to it. And I was thinking, I wrote this morning that a Band-Aid is nothing but like a fabric hug. It is, that's all it is a Band-Aid is just a fabric piece hugging you.
A sticky fabric hug.
A sticky fabric hug that doesn't do any, a Band-Aid doesn't do anything other than protect you.
Right.
It literally only lets your body heal itself.
Right.
A Band-Aid is not doing anything, right? And it was a fabric hug over this wound. I didn't say stitch the wound up. I didn't say like perform surgery. I just said I need a hug.
Right.
I need a fabric hug right now. Because I think so much in our past we've been guilty of trying to make one another see the perspective when really all we need is a Band-Aid fabric hug, right? And so I don't know, you don't need to agree with why I'm hurt necessarily or whatever, but using the hug idea as like, this is attunement, this is helpful, this is healing,
right?
But you're not, the Band-Aid isn't doing anything other than hugging.
And couples, when I say couples, I mean us. You have the opportunity, and I have the opportunity to be that Band-Aid, right? Like, I don't have to see whatever it is. Like, literally, I don't have to understand it. I don't have to go through it. I don't have to have context. I don't have to have anything. I just have to know, she is hurt. I can hug or do whatever, right? And I think historically, in our relationship, that we have not done that. Like, both of us,
for
right?
Sure.
I know that I haven't done it to you, and times when I've wanted just whatever from you, you haven't been available, right? And you wanted to explain away. So I think we're both guilty of it. So what can couples take away from, like, what can they do if they're experiencing the same thing that we're experiencing? Because it's not uncommon.
Yeah. Well, and I think what I have, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes here, but I think it's like understanding that even little kids, right? If a little kid hurts themselves, they sometimes just want a Band-Aid because the idea of a Band-Aid makes them feel that much more secure. Right? It makes me think, okay, I won't scratch this cut again if I have a Band-Aid on it. Even if I don't need a Band-Aid, I feel safer that it's there. And so I just wanted to kind of present the idea of, if your partner is coming to you saying, something is hurting my feelings or something makes me sad, you don't be a fabric hug. Like, you don't need to solve it. You don't need to turn it into a big argument, but there is obviously people would take advantage of this. Not like, if you're going to give a fabric hug, you've got to give if you want to ask for one, you got to give one.
Right. So I grew up, thinking Band-Aids are wasteful, and like, you don't need a Band-Aid for that. You're fine, kind of thing, right? So what? You have a cut on your arm. I would power through that. You're fine, So I've been putting my perspective on, and this comes from family of origin. Like, literally, you don't need a Band-Aid. Toughen up. You scraped your knee. Okay, wipe the blood and dirt off, and go. So there's a real fear of like, oh, if I give in this one time, she's always going to want a Band-Aid. If I give in this one time, then the kids are always going to think that that's okay or whatever. So that's a fear in the back of my mind. But just from last night, I'm understanding that you're not. That is an unlikely scenario that you would be like, oh, I'm gonna make something up so I can get a hug.
But it makes me think of, like, historically through our marriage, that's what you've been what did you say the other day about dad jokes? You're like, dad jokes are basically all they're ignoring what someone actually they're dismissive.
Right.
That was the that's what you've done when I say, hey, I have a cut on my arm. You're like, it's not that bad.
No. Well, okay.
Well, we don't need to. Okay. They are, but like Hattie would say, I'm hungry, and you'd go, hi, hungry.
Right.
It's just dismissive of what she actually wants.
She is hungry, and she's like, Dad, stop doing that. I was like, okay, I can.
But so, like, that's what I was thinking, is that I would come to you and say, gosh, this hurts. I have a cut, or I've got a rash on my arm. Like, can you help me? And you'd be like, it's not that bad. You don't need that. And that has literally been our pattern just forever.
I would say, well, you can take care of that yourself, because that's what I've always done. Like, that's what I did.
Yeah, and that's not called a relationship.
Right.
And
You've
so,
said
like,
that before. Yeah,
and so a lot of times, like, my mom would take me to the hospital if I was really sick, because you'd be like at work, you'd be like, you're probably fine, or I have appendicitis, either one. And so, like, things like that matter. But
write some Windex on it, it'll be fine.
Yeah, but I just wanted to bring up this idea from our conversation last night, and I think it's a really great concept of, like, being basically the fabric hug of a Band-Aid, and nothing else needs to be there. It makes me feel better to know that now it won't get infected, because Seth is helping that, make it better, not make it worse. And I didn't ask him to fix it. I just asked for the fabric hugness of a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I thought it was good.
I think that maybe from a guy's, we've talked about how guys are fixers and women are processors. Like, oftentimes, there's a cut. I think one of two things, or both. I'm responsible for it. I've made that, and I want to know, okay, what I can do to fix it. Like,
that's weird. I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
no, I'm not saying that's weird,
there
but
may be like three things. It's like, okay, the immediate fixer comes out, the immediate I'm responsible, it's my fault comes out, and then a shame dynamic comes out, and it's really weird. We talked about it last night. I was like, well, the way you're presenting stuff is just like you've been grilling me for 30 minutes, and it's like that doesn't feel good. But I'm realizing that, like, just go over there and put a Band-Aid on it. I don't have to fix it. It's not like 100% my fault, and I should have known better because I'm so stupid, kind of thing.
Which I want to be very clear, I never said. And
right.
That's what I was going to say, is that when you said the first thing that comes up is it's your fault, I never said that. And that's the thing that's the hardest for me, is that I feel like no matter how much I am very aware that what I feel is me having an interpretation that is what my brain will do with anything. Like, so about the sunshine, I will have certain feelings about it that only my brain feels. And I in no way think that you think exactly the same thing about the sunshine, right? We have different interpretations of everything.
Right.
So when I say, I'm sad that ADD has done this and this and that in our marriage, I am never saying, and it's your fault, you dumb idiot. I was just like, that makes me sad. And so I guess that's something that I want to figure out how we can address better moving forward, that I wasn't ever blaming you.
Right.
And I also wasn't even saying it was, like, I wasn't.
Yeah, I think sorry to interrupt you, but I think from a guy's perspective, and maybe some guys can relate to this, is this, and this because of your ADD, or this, and this because your lack of I don't know what it is. It like, from a guy, I'm like, okay, I'm responsible for that. Like, the weight falls on me. You know what I'm saying? Like, if our house, if I don't work, then we don't have a house, and that weight falls on me. Does that make sense?
I can work.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I think it's not necessarily reasonable what you're saying. I agree that you feel that, though.
Right.
And I acknowledge that you feel that. But I also don't necessarily think it's what needs to happen. It might not be the best and most healthiest way to walk through those feelings, right? Like, and again, like, I wanted to bring that up and note that you were saying that, because I think it's really important that I never said it was your fault. It was like, man, I wish I had known. It was like there's so much I could have done proactively had I known, but I didn't know. And that makes me sad, right? And so I don't know, I just thought it was a good idea to talk about the Band-Aid concept and how that's what I think attunement is, like saying, I understand that you are in pain, and I will help you, and I will, put this Band-Aid on you, even if I don't think you need it, whatever. That's what, like, love is and kindness is. And I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts on that?
No, I agree. I think the conversation last night was good, and it needs a Band-Aid. That's all. If I can, like, remind myself and break it down. And same thing with you. Sometimes I just need a Band-Aid, and so we have the ability. We have a limit. We have an infinite supply of Band-Aids right here in our back pocket, right? And all we have to do is give one. So just to be aware of that. So, okay. I feel we haven't answered any comments, so maybe we could go just straight through them. That'd be kind of cool. Okay. Let's see. Mozog, empathy only gets us so far. I think compassion triumphs over trying to be empathic.
That's great. Empathic.
Empathetic.
You're right.
Be authentic too, not just an act to make them feel better. Yeah, that's right. You can't just go, here's a Band-Aid, put it on, thank you.
There you go, robot.
Paul, yep, I do this. Band-Aids are also a barrier that prevents anything from getting to the wound before it's fully healed. That's right, it's protection, right? The healing has to take place before the skin is ready to brave the elements again. That's right. Family of origin is totally the same. Yep, I feel you, bro. We feel responsible for our families, so we tend to take those things as failures on our part. Yes, 100%. And I think there was a thread of comments from guys right there that related to what I was saying. Fred, being sensitive and compassionate to our spouses needs an emotion. I'm guilty, but I'm learning. That's right. Hey, we're all learning here. Yeah. We are absolutely all learning in real time. So let's see. Okay, we got to wrap this up. This is a good one. 18 minutes, and I don't know why I said that.
It was 18 minutes.
The mark of being good is 18. No, thank you for that. Thank you guys for, one more comment, darn it. Maybe having a time before or after the show to look at questions would be helpful. That way our attention is what you're talking about.
It's a very good
that's a good point. Maybe we can integrate that into the Facebook Live pre-show.
Now that we have internet, we can post what we're going to talk about before we actually go live. We just haven't had it till today. Yeah. So it's that way we could come prepared with questions, and then we could answer them at the end also, so we can kind of like bookend them. Yeah. But anyway, thank you for joining us. This has been really awesome. Thank you for engaging in these conversations. Please share the podcast with your friends. Rate and review it on iTunes if you haven't yet. If you have, thank you. You're a rock star. What else is I going to say? Oh,
one more thing. Audible. Go to audible.com. Audible trial / Anatomy of Marriage, and get a free audiobook. Literally, it's on us. So do that. It can be a $25 value or an $8 value, depending on whatever book you choose. You can choose any book.
Yeah.
So please go there.
Yeah.
All right. Is that all?
Yeah, it is.
All right.
Thank you, guys. And have a wonderful day.
Happy Friday. All right.
Bye.
Bye.